Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It is November 18th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and we we looked like we were really going to have a range day today. In the end, this is a trend day, and there's a two-tiered channel here, and we actually overshot that strongly uh, late in the afternoon. We had a really good, really from about 225 or so, 220. This thing sold off rather strongly. And you can see we got just a little bit of support here, but it didn't hold and we went on lower. So it didn't really matter. This is well after 2 o'clock. You definitely wouldn't want to be trading down in here. But you really couldn't get this bigger channel until this swing right here, which is almost at 11 o'clock. And you could, for the most part, you could confirm this because when you drew it across here, uh, you might have actually drawn it like that originally. But once we started overshooting down in here, you would know that you probably needed to move it on down, and that's probably the midline right across there rather than the lower side. And you can see it does fit off of this next swing here, and that turns out to be the midline right there instead of the lower line. And I mean, it could be that it's even a bigger channel than that, and you can see there that looks like a midline right there. So that's generally how you find these things. You keep moving the line down, but in the end, I believe that takes care of you for the day. And even if you played it here, you just had to overshoot down here, but you still had the shorter term yellow channel in play that would keep you in play into 2 o'clock. So it didn't matter how you saw this one. Um, Honestly, this is the way I saw it early on. And then when we started going lower, I just pulled it on down, looking at that, the midline. And then, of course, it bounced after 2, around 2, almost 3 o'clock when it gets here. So it tells you it's probably valid like this. So anyway, that's how I saw it. Didn't matter if you saw it either way. And really, it didn't matter if you had this on here at all because it didn't really come into play except maybe where this midline is. Other than that, you could just take that off and play these shorter term channels and look at this like a range day. And really up until after 2 o'clock before we really got outside the overnight highs and lows. So for the most part, you could play this as a range, and that really is the safe way to play it. So having looked at it like that, let's back out and just color this one since the other ones are colored. Just to make it look a little. Let's back out and we'll go from there. And you can see the volatility and the volume is really getting more normal. It's really slowed down. Your signal bars look a lot better. There's still some, I mean, even your bigger signal bars like this one, it's still a relatively big bar, but $200 is a lot better than some that we were seeing 500 and 600. And so it's getting a little better. See, that one's only 150, 125. So the risk is really coming back into more normal. I would say a more normal type market. So maybe we can get back to our 8-tick rule and things like that. So anyway, actually, I think you were better off playing this one as a spike in channel like so. That's the way I actually played that one. I played around with it after the fact to see if it would fit, but that's how I actually played it today. So I'm going to move it back. But let's back out. We'll talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up. I'm a little late. Probably going to be this way all week. I'm probably going to be a little later. It's probably going to be 6 to 6:30 before I get these uploaded, maybe closer to 7. I apologize, but I got some personal things going on, so I'm having to leave some during the day. But anyway, you can see we had this trend working up. We had an overshoot, which usually leads to a break, and you had your break and a couple legs to a new high, and then we're trending down. And you get this little spike in channel here, and that's how I played it right there. Actually, originally I started, I think, over here, but and it still fits right there, but I ended up expanding it, looking at it as that maybe being the midline. So it's really hard to know. It probably fits even better right there. But you really don't get any plays off this anyway because that's too congestive, and then we're just bouncing down here. And I don't think you want to go long there yet because we don't have a measured move. You notice we almost got our measured move here, and then we bounced. But we played out to the upside, and we're moving down now. And the way I looked at this, um, it's just a first entry, but it's a lower high. Notice you're moving down. You tried to go higher once, and you tried to go higher twice, and then you even tested it again. So this is like a double test to this. It's a double top. This actually breaks higher and turns down. It looks like a reversal pattern. It just didn't break higher here, and that's the way I treated it. So I like going short there. If you didn't see that or you don't like that, it's no big deal. That's just the way I saw it. I liked it really because it broke higher and turned and went down. And you're probably going to, on that engulfing bar, you're probably going to trap some traders, and you're probably going to get a measured leg down. We didn't quite get it because we found some support here. It's tempting to go long right here, but I still think you need a higher low, especially out of congestion, because that is not rejection of these lows. That's acceptance of it, really. And then we're just kind of chugging along here. So I don't see anything that makes me want to go long there. And then, in fact, you come up here and you make this high and you test it once, you test it twice. You actually go a little higher here, and then you make a lower high. And there's still a little room back to the EMA, too. So, and you did get a little bit of an overshoot here. So really, this is more like a range. You got some resistance across here. So it's really the range had already started, and we just made a measured move, and this turns out to be a midline. But I just like this because of the triple test, the lower high, and you're not even back to the EMA yet. And you would expect that prices would try to make a retest of this low, which it does, makes a new low, and then we bounce. I did not mark this trade right here. I only see one leg down, and this little trend's still in play, and it's a little congestion. We drop lower, but it's a nice little failed breakout, and you're a long way away from the EMA. And these are the ones where sometimes you'll catch an important low. And so I didn't mark it green, but I'll be honest, I like that one as green. I like to, if you're going to take risks, these are the kind you want to take because you know you're going back to that EMA soon, especially when it's been this flat. And there it goes, it runs back. And so on a little failed breakout of a tiny range, I don't have my lines there, but hopefully you can see that. There's a little range right there. That's a failed breakout. So, and you're way away from the EMA, so the odds are it's going to swing back. And then we just start going sideways again. And finally, notice we made that low. You test it once, you test it twice. You probably could argue that you made a low here, test it once, test it twice, but that's not your signal bar is no good there. So you could just start over here. You test it once, you test it twice. And it actually breaks lower and turns on an engulfing bar and breaks higher right there. I don't know that I'd go long way up here on that big bar. It's about a 200-point risk, which is big for today, but it doesn't really feel real big compared to what we've been seeing. So I like going long one tick above this bar, just giving yourself some room to get out before here rather than wait until here, even though it does work out. I mean, you could still go long up here, but I'll be honest with you, if I were marking it like that, I'd make it green. It's a little aggressive there. It does run on up. Unfortunately, you don't really get a setup up here to go short. And then it really confirmed that trend line right there, but I wouldn't count that because you can't tell if it's just sideways. But when it comes back here, it confirms this trend channel. And you can clearly see it's working off the highs and the lows. It's a valid channel. But you don't get a very good signal bar. It's a very neutral bar, so I don't like it. And you just don't get another chance to go long. And then you're breaking out the upper side here. You don't know which one of these is going to win out, but I would expect coming off here also being a breakout of this channel that we're probably coming back. But you just really don't get a chance to enter. It bounces here and breaks higher and turns and goes down. But I'd want to wait on something a little better than that. And then finally we get back inside the channel and it tests it and it breaks higher and then fails and comes back on another engulfing bar. I like going short one tick below that one or even one tick below that one. It does come back again and makes a double top, and again it breaks higher and then turns down. So if you didn't go short here, definitely do it here. Again, you could go short one tick below this bar, or you could go even short one tick below here, because we're back inside the range, and it's held twice. We had a double test of it. So we're probably at least going to the, as long as you got room to get out for that midline. And this one actually broke lower and traded back up some. So you could have got a little better entry, even if there's not enough room there. I think there is enough room, but if you didn't have enough room, just put a limit order a little higher up if you didn't enter over here. And it still works out easily. It works out either way, but notice how we got the break and a new low, and we didn't get back down here, and we bounced again. I don't have my little trend on, but there's a little trend line running right up through here. And so you don't make a lower high till here, and you're still back above here. You didn't break lower, it's just going sideways. And then you get your reversal here, and that's a true reversal. And notice not only is it a reversal pattern, notice the new high, first entry, second entry. You're going to enter below the EMA, but you've also got the trend line, and it confirms it as well. But you're inside the range, and it closes inside that. That resistance is still holding. So I like going short right there. That's also a first entry, second entry short. And that's a quick, easy move. You actually get a lower high here, but you just bounced off the lows. You didn't quite get there where we've been bouncing, but technically we made our closes were up a little bit. So if you move this up, yeah, let's do it from here. So if you move that up, which you probably should since your last closes were there, you just bounced off that. So if you got enough room to get out, you can enter here. And again, you could let it break lower and set the trigger and then drop a limit order and see if it'll come back some, because you can tell it's a clear trend line. The problem is we've got a range going on here too, and you don't know which one's going to win out. So just make sure you got enough room to get out here. I just don't think I'd enter way down here. And this one doesn't break higher first. So the only other way you could do is let it break lower, and then once it's triggered, drop a limit order and see if it'll back up and fill you and give you a little more room. Because look, it took it 3 tries to get through there. And if you entered down here and you hadn't gotten out yet and it's starting to bounce, you're probably going to get scared and exit that, and you're going to lose anyway. Or you're not going to make any money really. But then it runs on down, you get your break, and you run to a new low, and you actually kind of bounce down that trend channel line a couple of times before you go back. Don't try to pick any lows down here, because look right here, if you try to go long, you got burned. And then there's no signal bar here, but you're actually working up here. Get a close outside. You try to go higher, but the trend channel holds. And it actually breaks higher, turns. It doesn't go out the other side, but just go short one tick. That's a lower high. It's also a second entry short. You're moving up first entry. You try to go higher again, second entry short. It looks like one leg, but with this yellow channel, it's pretty obvious. It's a good channel. You're working down. You get a lower high here. You don't want to go short down there. You're too far away from the EMA. Of course, you finally bounce down here. If you've got a good high or low here, you might go long back to the, but you don't get one. You actually get a reversal here, and there's still a little room back to the trend line. And it looks like we got a little overshoot too, so there's a chance we're going to get an overshoot, so that might give you a little more. But I'd still want enough room to get out before I got back to this trend line. And you can see, and it's a very small, relatively small bar, $100 risk. You can actually get in that with the 8-point rule, and that turns out to be a pretty good move. I wouldn't enter here because we've already overshot it about the same distance. The channel's still holding, but there's a good chance we're going to try to make a run at it to make another low. And you actually get a close outside new high. Again, it breaks higher and turns down, but I'd want a lower high, and that takes you into 2 o'clock, and you just don't get it. And you see what happens, it bounces. So before it actually goes lower. So pretty good trading day. We're starting to feel more like a normal market. It's starting to be, it's kind of nice seeing some decent sized signal bars for a change, so you're not risking an arm and a leg on every entry. And I'm kind of enjoying the market slowing. It's not getting too slow, but it's slowed down enough that you can definitely, it's a little more orderly. The signal bar is a little more reasonable. It just feels like a much closer to normal market than what we have been seeing. So anyway, pretty good trading day. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again tomorrow to wrap up our week. I hope you had a good trading day. Hope you have a better day tomorrow. And we'll be back again to do it then. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.